What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lob It Up Podcast. This is the 5th episode with your hosts, Tobias, Chris, and Siavash. And before we get started, I just want to give out a huge shout out to all of our listeners on Spotify, Apple. Make sure you guys are checking us on YouTube, on our channel, Lob It Up Pod, as well as on our Instagram as well. We're always posting graphics from the past episode, and we want to hear what your guys' takes are so we can lob it back up to you guys. Boys, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, sun is shining. It's nice. It's a good day. Hopefully that'll mean it'll be a good week.
That means it's about time to bust some ankles, aka you breaking ankles on Siavash on the blacktop.
Yeah.
Before we get started, why are you always on his side? Get off his
I'm
nuts. Get
all
off
I'm
his
saying
nuts.
is, with the weather getting nicer, I'm noticing it's probably not the heat, but C is getting a little sweatier and sweatier every episode because he knows it means it's almost time to play some ball. He's going to have to back up all that jibber jabber and he's been doing.
I'm not gonna lie. I might have seen Chris this weekend, and I got a little nervous. This guy looks good. This guy looks fit. I might have to hit the gym like tomorrow, bro. I got to get in the gym right now.
He's ready to produce in the paint, man. He's going to take you to school.
Hey, bro, this guy say he hasn't lost any weight, but he looks good, man. Chris, congrats, man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I'll be Spike Lee on the sidelines, just kind of jabbing at everybody, getting everyone stirred up. That's my job. Just get everyone amped up.
I'm gonna be like Kobe afterwards, telling you, Chris Pinette, that was your fault.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Cool. So we're doing good. The sun is shining, and the trade deadline is upon us. So I know we're gonna be touching on a bit of the potential trades coming into this next week or so. There's definitely some big name. It seems like a lot of big mans that are actually up to potentially being traded. LaMarcus, Aldridge, Andre Drummond being two of the main guys. But before we get into that, do want to hit you guys with some trivia. I got 2 questions here. Again, if you guys ever have some trivia you want to bring to the table, if the listeners ever have some that they think might stump us, feel free to send us a message. But with that being said, let's get into the first question. Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the legend, the greatest basketball player of all time, wore 3 numbers throughout his career in the NBA. What were they?
Oh, fuck.
It's like
3 numbers.
Wasn't it 23, 45?
This is the last one that stumps a lot of people.
Yeah, I got you. 23, 45, and 9.
Okay, and sorry, in the NBA. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the Olympics. Just in the NBA.
I thought I had it. Damn it.
You were close. 23, 45. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of every picture I've ever seen of Michael Jordan. Like, if this was an episode of Jimmy Neutron, I'm having a brain blast right now. But it's basically a brain fart, and I can't.
You're you're Doctor Strange right now. You have a lot of
just going through all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know what? I'm stumped. I don't know.
Let's just say a random number each, and hopefully one of us.
Okay, give us a number range. Give us a number range, and we'll each take a pick.
Okay, 0 to 99.
Okay, nice. you fucking suck.
You know what? That took us down. Yeah, you know what? The possibilities are brought down to 99 numbers. Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I'll give you 0 to 45.
I don't know.
I'm going to go with 32. Fuck it.
Okay.
I don't know.
11? I don't even fucking know.
Really close, Chris. So one game, somebody snuck into the Chicago Bulls dressing room. This is one of my favorite stories of old time basketball. Someone snuck into the Chicago Bulls dressing room and stole Michael Jordan's jersey. Therefore, I guess they didn't have any extra 23s. I'm sure they have them kind of laying around in today's game. But Michael ended up wearing number 12 with no nameplate on the back because someone had stolen his jersey. So the correct answer is 23, 45, and 12. There you go.
That was close.
And I almost bought a Chicago Bulls number 12 jersey with no nameplate on the back just because of that sick historical fact. But moving on to the next question. 2003, probably the greatest NBA draft that we've ever seen. You got LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Melo, Chris Bosh. They were all drafted in that top 5. Who went number 2 overall and to what team?
I got you.
Kind of a trick question here.
It's not.
If you don't listen to it, you might think I'm saying one thing, but I'm actually saying something else.
Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, repeat the question. Now you throw me off.
The 2003 draft was an infamous draft. You had players like LeBron, Melo, D Wade, Chris Bosh all get drafted in that top 5. Who went number 2 and to what team?
I'm gonna go with Darko Milicic, and he went to the Detroit Pistons.
Who the fuck is that?
I'm now I'm kind of nervous because this guy said
Malfoy.
Darko Milicic, and he's a boxing instructor now in some European country. The team that probably with the same guy that got dunked on by Vince Carter in the 2000s Olympics.
Oh my God, I don't even know how you fucking pull that up.
Wait, am I right? I'm nervous.
Chris, are you gonna answer?
Hey, bro, I don't trust this
I honestly don't know. Was it Melo?
Melo should have been drafted number 2 overall, and Melo has been quoted as saying a couple times that had he been drafted number 2 overall, he would have had a championship. Think with the Detroit Pistons a couple years after with that Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups and Ben Wallace team. Probably would have went on a bit of a run. Darko Milicic was actually drafted number 2 overall. The trick in the question was that I didn't name him, and you would think that it was one of those 4 guys that I named. But yeah.
Draco Malfoy.
I didn't know that he was a boxing instructor. That's pretty funny, actually. Like, this guy was drafted number 2 overall, ahead of some great NBA players, and still he still isn't in the league. So
now he teaches boxing at Hogwarts.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
7'2" guy in Hogwarts.
So with the trivia out of the way, we're bringing it back to the draft. A bit of unrelated but still related towards basketball. We're doing a draft of the greatest the greatest basketball movies of all time. Some of the parameters around this is we're not doing any documentaries. We're obviously not doing any unreleased films. Is there anything else we should really cover before we get into the Siavash?
I think we started having this conversation because we were talking about Space Jam 2. There were rumors about it coming out, and I think we should do this draft first and then maybe give our opinions on it after, because I think Tobias really has strong opinions on it.
I do, yeah.
But I think, let's give out the order of the draft. It was just Tobias Sparky's birthday a few days ago, so I think he should go number 1. And also to get the easy pick out of the way, because we know what he's going to pick.
Yeah.
It's an easy pick. And then I'll go second, Chris you go third.
Okay.
We went first last time, so I think that will make it fair.
That's true.
Okay, so with the first overall pick, my team would like to draft Space Jam.
Wow!
I watch every single year.
Space Jam, big shot.
Yeah,
no way.
Who would have thought of that one?
Didn't see that coming. No way. Crazy.
I think you got to think.
I'm stunned.
Of the time that it came out to, really the only other movie that had a people cast as well as an animated cast before that would have been Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It was influential in its time to kind of incorporate those 2 universes, I guess. But no one had ever really done it besides, like I said, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So it was a big change. And then you think about the NBA was huge coming up in the 90s. It was really starting to market itself worldwide. The Looney Tunes are the Looney Tunes. Every kid watched the Looney Tunes growing up on a Saturday afternoon. So with the first overall pick, I'd like to take Space Jam.
Okay.
I like the pick. You have called it one of the best, or you've called it the greatest movie of all time.
Correct.
I think that's a little rough. I think you gotta calm down.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
It's a huge stretch.
I know we all seen Charles Barkley's acting on the court trying to get the most out of him.
Yeah.
That's why he likes the movie.
Yeah. Family ties.
Family ties, he says.
I love the movie, though. It's one of the best movies. It's one of my favorite
of all time.
I wouldn't put it up there.
No, I wouldn't either. Honestly, I think if you took the nostalgia factor out of Space Jam, it's not a good movie.
Sure, I can agree with that. Yeah. I can agree with that.
And it would be like mid-tier. But it's just the feelings of when I watched that as a kid and all of that stuff, that's what elevates it a little bit. But that's all for me.
Okay, with the second pick, I'm going to go with one of my favorite basketball movies of all time, Coach Carter.
Nice. Classic.
I love the movie, man. Just Samuel Jackson is acting in that movie is incredible. This story is more than just basketball. It's more than just visuals.
100%.
It goes so much deeper into the oppression and how these people just get stuck in one lifestyle and they can't really get out of it. And this coach, who has also been part of that and was able to get out of it, he goes back to his community and tries to help those kids out. And some of the moments in that movie is incredible, man. It's one of my favorite movies ever, and it's such a good movie. And, it doesn't have a happy ending, but there is a good story, and it's a happy ending at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important with that movie. I think the message is really greater than the actual theme of the movie. I remember doing that. Had to do like a movie research project my first year in college. And I chose that movie, and not only because it was sports related, but again, because it has a great message intertwined with it. So great pick.
Okay. All right. Both of you, excellent movie choices.
Thank you.
I figured those were coming. I was actually just talking to you about this movie, and it reminded me how good of a movie it is. So with my pick, the third pick in this all-time basketball movie draft, I'm going to go with Glory Road.
Okay, good.
It's a good movie. Good movie. Pretty much just basically what it is. You just got this small town coach, and he's now appointed to the head of, I think it's a college, community college, so some kind of I don't think it's high school, basketball team. And, it's like the 1960s, and he's like, you know what? I am building this team based on skill, not race. So if, some of the more skilled players are African Americans, they will be playing and they will be starting. And this caused waves. Yeah. Just waves and stuff. And then you saw shitty times for them, being booed by crowds, going to places to eat, being refused, all this shitty shit that came with that time, but overall great movie. I'm pretty sure it's based on a true story, because I think for some of the actual players after, it's you can look up what happened to them, and I think two of them.
Do they do the classic 90s end scene where it's
and the freeze
Tobias ended up being a doctor, and it's just it's got the cheery music in the background?
I think it's something like that, but I think it's they were maybe getting off a bus, or they were going somewhere, and I think two of them end up going to the league or something.
Okay,
like
cool.
That. Yeah. So.
And it's a Disney film as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Which, you know what? Maybe I'll look it up, see if it's on Disney Plus.
Hey, you never know.
I don't know. Give her a watch again.
Okay, so because it is a snake draft, you have back-to-back picks here.
Oh, back-to-back picks.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even explain it. We're going to go for 3 rounds. And we wanted to do 4, but I feel like if we go 4, we're going to get into some not great basketball movies like 17 again, and maybe just scenes from TV shows. So we just do 3 rounds. We're going to try to get the best of the best, and there's going to be some
We're not talking about One Tree Hill here.
Yeah. Hey, that was top tier.
Top tier. I ain't going
One Tree Hill.
And any listeners out there who want to debate that, you probably haven't watched One Tree Hill. Give it a watch. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
All right, but with my 4th pick, this is a classic. It's a classic for I don't want to say true big basketball fans, but it's also a classic with the female basketball players and stuff. So I'm gonna go with Love and Basketball.
Ooh. Okay. I don't know that one, so you want to break that one down?
So pretty much that one is just 2 childhood friends. Both, were big basketball players. Basically, it follows them from childhood through their high school, through their college, stuff like that, and just the different paths and how their lives changed through playing basketball, and them also, being in love. They were neighbors their entire life. The classic his bedroom window faces her bedroom window type of thing, And honestly, I highly, highly recommend you give that a watch.
Okay, check that one out.
It'll easily probably make your list.
Yeah. Okay. Some sappy shit.
It's a little sappy, but it's it's good. It's good sap.
Yeah, okay.
You need a little sap in your life sometimes.
I guess so. Cool.
Back to you, C.
With the 5th pick, I'll be taking. There's good options on the board right now, and there's ones that I should probably pick, but I'm going to pick this one because I'm scared it's going to go. I'm going to go with Like Mike
No!
I knew this. I fucking called that. I knew this guy.
Yes.
Tobias wanted like Mike. That's why I was like, you know what? I don't care what like I have to pick. It was a snake draft. I know Tobias isn't picking none of my movies.
I knew that was gonna go. I just I looked at it and I was like, oh, somebody's gonna pick this. Bro, I love that movie, man. You got Bow Wow, you got Morris Chestnut, you got Gary Payton, Tracy McGrady, AI, Jason Kidd.
You got a young Nick Nurse in there.
He's in. Oh yeah, he's in
there's the meme where it's
You got Alonzo Mourning, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki. Man, it's a phenomenal movie. I love this movie.
What a great flick, and that's on Disney Plus, I believe.
I think so. Yeah,
should be. Do they have Like Mike 2 on there?
Probably. Not good though.
So are you gonna replace Like Mike with what? Thunderstruck or something like that?
No,
there's good picks on the board, man. There's good movies on the board right now.
Yeah, and with my second pick, I mean, again, it's not a bad pick, but I'm gonna go with White Man Can't Jump. You got a young Woody Harrelson in there.
I didn't think you'd pick that. Okay,
that's a great flick, great '90s, I think early '90s flick. But yeah, I enjoyed that movie. Kind of pissed that you took Like Mike, but I mean, I can't complain when I got White Man Can't Jump and Space Jam. And because I'm first, I get a back-to-back pick, which now makes it hard. Like I said, you took the one half of the picks that I wanted.
He's picking Air Bud.
Bro,
he is picking Air Bud.
Wait. Before you pick it, don't, because you're gonna put me in a bad position. Because I have great movies in front of me. Then I would be disrespecting not to pick.
Well, I have a couple here. I have a couple here on the board, but I mean, like, when we're talking about influence to us, bro, like, I gotta take Air Bud, dude. Everybody's sick, bro. I love Air Bud, man. I swear to God, I am like a human version of a golden retriever, so I personally resonate with that film. You got like Buddy on the court, like actually playing, and probably the second best player on the team. Air Bud is top notch, not Space Jam level, not Coach Carter, but it's that tier below where you can toss that on and still enjoy it. And he fucking plays a bunch of other sports. So yeah, Air Bud's in my third pick there.
It's a good.
Can we just talk though about how ridiculous Air Bud is?
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, what league would ever allow them to be like, wow, there's no people here that can play? Let's suit a dog up and get him on the court. Or like the scene that kills me, I think it's from Air Bud 2. Where is that the one where he's playing football now?
I think so.
Oh yeah, there's so many of them.
There's volleyball. Volleyball is a good one.
Bro, but there's a football scene. They have the dog. I don't even know what position the dog. What is he, a running back? I don't know. But they gave him the ball, and in the scene, a kid full blown tackles the shit out of the dog. And then you see him just lying on the ground, like, it's like, what? What did you expect?
Yeah, Pete is on the phone, and they're about to take this whole operation down.
Like, this movie is violating everything.
Gosh, I don't know. I think that was just a big '90s thing, pet movie,
and that's I mean, that's what you see with my picks here. I got Space Jam, White Man Can't Jump, and Air Bud. But Sivash, you said you had a couple heavy hitters there in front of you. I'm interested to see what you got on your third pick here.
That's what I'm saying, man. You put me in a bad position because that's a good pick. I love Air Bud. It's just that you left a great movie on the board, and now it just ruined my plan because I was gonna go with Basketball Diaries, but now He Got Game is on the board, and I gotta go with that, man.
Oh, He Got Game is on my. That's on my list of movies to watch. The one with Denzel.
It's Denzel.
Oh yeah, okay.
And Ray Allen, and Kobe was actually supposed to do that movie, but he turned it down.
Jeez,
and
so where
Ray
Jesus
Allen was the
Shuttlesworth
second guy. Yeah, and that's where he got the nickname Jesus Shuttlesworth. And I haven't seen it in a long time, but the one scene I do remember was when at the end when Denzel and Ray Allen are playing one-on-one. And there's so many stories about that movie going back that like they were just supposed to play casually, but Denzel actually started taking it serious, and he was trying to really get a bucket on Ray Allen. He was trying to beat him, but then Ray Allen actually took it serious after, and he lost. Jeez. But it's an amazing movie, man. It's one of the. I'm surprised it's still on the board, so that's why I had to pick it. But I was gonna pick Basketball Diaries, which is another great movie, which has it's a great story about just these kids who have been restricted in their lives, so they try to get out of that feeling. And they put away basketball and they go on to other things. But I gotta take He Got Game.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah, see, that wasn't on my list because like I haven't actually watched it, so like I can't like so well now I'm gonna have to go with this movie. So with my last pick, I'm gonna go with you probably actually a lot of people probably remember it, maybe, but Rebound. Martin Lawrence movie. Rebound.
I haven't seen that
Remember
one.
that one. Let me pull up the little plot for you. So pretty much what happened is, I guess he's a basketball coach. He's a college coach, and he was like really famous for like losing his temper and like all the time, like really gets heated, throwing stuff out at Jackson. So I think he ends up something happens, and basically to like I think he loses his job at coaching like college, and he's forced to like now coach like his son's like basketball team, which is like absolute dog shit. Just garbage. They suck. It's just like, your classic ragtag team of kids, and it's just like only one of them can really play and the rest are just there to be there. And then, he's the whole I'm only here to win games so I can go back to my cushy college job, blah, blah, blah. A little feel good story because he's like, now he's formed a connection with all these kids. He's helping all the kids. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I belong here now type thing. But it's funny. Good. I like Martin Lawrence too. So.
Yeah, fair enough. A couple movies that were on my list that we didn't mention. Some I kind of wrote down as jokes. I would never actually pick them. But it would be Uncle Drew and High School Musical. Technically a basketball movie. It is centered around basketball. But Uncle Drew I did think would actually be picked up. But what else did you guys have on your list that didn't end up getting slotted?
The only other one that I had that didn't actually get picked was Teen Wolf.
Okay.
And then in my other categories, and Teen Wolf, by the way, for these listeners, not to be confused with the MTV show, I think it was, or whatever, that Teen Wolf. This is the actual one with Michael J. Fox, I believe.
Yeah.
And the other movie was More Than a Game. So
okay.
And I think that's the LeBron documentary. But since we were kind of not talking about documentaries, I kind of axed that one off of even being able to talk about it.
I think we can do that its own thing. We can have its own draft
for
just basketball documentaries, and yeah, that would be a good one. Right now, I just had the Basketball Diaries. That's the only one that was still on my board. And as I said, it's a great movie. It has Leo, it has Mark Wahlberg, and it just has a great story.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there's that Thunderstruck one. I've never seen it, but I know Katie was in it, and that could technically be. I'm pretty sure it's ass. Like, I'm pretty sure it's actually very bad. But kind of another one to toss in there.
I can't believe we just mentioned that. That movie is
but you have to at the very very end. Like, it's funny we put High School Musical above fucking Thunderstruck.
I would mention 17 again before that movie. Yeah. And 17 is a Disney movie with just a few scenes about basketball. That Thunderstruck movie is horrible.
Yeah, I've actually never seen it. I just saw a clip the other day, I think. Oh yeah, it was like Kevin was like, "Oh, I wish you could take my abilities away from me or something." And it was like a scene basically just at a Space Jam. They put their hand on the ball at the same time, and the kid had the powers of Kevin Durant. But it's like, that's corny.
That sounds a little corny, yeah. The only other movie like I kind of saw too was The Way Back. This actually looks pretty fairly new. It's with Ben Affleck, I guess.
Yeah, I did see that when I was looking up basketball movies. I haven't seen it before, so I didn't mark it down. But
83 on Rotten Tomatoes, so maybe it's something worth checking out.
Check it out. Yeah, cool. So there you have it. My list is Space Jam, White Men Can't Jump, and Air Bud. Siavash, what was your lineup?
I got Coach Carter, Like Mike, and He Got Game.
All right.
And Chris?
Lineup,
I had that. Glory.
You almost said something else.
I almost said something else.
You almost said something else.
I had that, and the whole time too when I was saying the movie, I was like, man, somebody's either gonna crack a joke about it or like it's gonna be said. But I've got Glory Road.
There we go.
Love and Basketball, and Rebounds.
Okay, so let us know what you guys think when you're locking down on a Saturday. What lineup would you rather see from Chris, Siavash, or myself? Let us know in the comments of the YouTube video, or feel free to send us a message on Instagram. Okay, so getting into more current events when it comes to this season's basketball, we have a couple potential trades upcoming. I know LaMarcus Aldridge, San Antonio Spurs are looking to move away from him. Andre Drummond is obviously a guy that people are kind of keeping their eyes on. Cleveland have been sitting him for the past couple weeks. And I think there's one more big man that Sivash, you mentioned, is potentially on the move. DeMarcus Cousins, that's right. I know with LaMarcus Aldridge, I've heard people like the Celtics. I've heard the Trailblazers, so going back home. And there was one more team I can't remember that he's rumored to go to. But do you guys have maybe any thoughts or opinions on who should be pursuing a veteran power forward in LaMarcus Aldridge that can stretch the floor and also play the 4 and 5?
Honestly, I know we're always like got to check our biases, but I would love just to see Toronto maybe try to take any kind of look at any of these like 3 guys just to help with that down low like need, because it's getting sick.
Oh, you don't like Aaron Baines? You don't like Aaron Baines?
I don't mind Baines. He's okay, but I'm just saying it's like we need a real big man. We need a real big man right now.
Now, that's an interesting point that you bring up, because Toronto's in a really weird spot right now. Obviously, with the play-in tournament this year, it makes a bit more interesting for those teams that are just on the cusp of making the playoffs. So if you're I know we did the buying and selling segment last week, but if you're the Raptors, are you looking to buy? Because they do have potential to move on from guys like a Kyle Lowry.
I know, that's the thing, and it's like Kyle Lowry's done so much for us, but it's like, do you buy now and use him while he's hot and like he's still worth something, or do you try to hold out for like a little bit longer and just maybe see what that goes? But I don't know. Me personally, I think I would. Thank you, Kyle, for everything you've done, but let's try and do something else and have this team be more sustainable for like the future.
For sure.
Before we go on, the Raptors are on the 11th seed.
Bruh, don't even talk to me about that.
Let's talk about last night.
Bruh, don't even talk to me about that. I'm gonna walk off the set.
They lost against my boys, the Bulls, and now they're on the 11th seed, and the Bulls are now on the 10th seed. And looking at them, they're 2 losses behind being in the 9th seed right now. I think we got to look at what they're doing, and I think Lowry does have his most value right now, as Chris mentioned, but at the same time, I think as a Raptors fan, would you not want to pay him his dues and just give him that respect for sticking along that whole time and finally bringing in championship to your team?
It's true. It's very, very true, but like, I wouldn't put it past Kyle to want to move on either, too. He's getting up there in his career, and who knows, maybe he wants to, because where is he from? Isn't he from like
Philly,
yeah. So
yeah,
maybe he wants to finish his career out there.
So I like the concept of him going to Philly. I think Philly is a team that could really utilize him in a proper form. I think they have needed a point guard for a long time. And yes, he is from Philly. However, he did come out and saying a couple weeks ago or last week, he was quoted as saying, whatever happens, but I'm going to retire a Raptor. Whether it's finish my contract here or I sign a one day, I'm finishing as a Raptor. So in my opinion, that maybe makes me think he kind of knows something that potentially could happen. I think, I'm of the belief that I think the Raptors would be making a smart decision by moving on from him. Like you said, Chris, getting assets while you can, maybe getting a younger piece, but also a piece that you can plug in right now. They played Freddie at the 2 for the most of the year, but he can easily slot in as the 1. Norm Powell's kind of showed in strides this year as well. So take maybe a bit of a step back, potentially get in on the play-in tournament. I think unless you make a big swing for a guy, like you said, a big, not even a LaMarcus Aldridge, like Andre Drummond, unless you make a swing for a guy like that, you're not really making an impact in the playoffs anyways. So why not, take this year as maybe a step back and improve for the future? Just think of it. If you tried to trade for Andre Drummond, sorry, Steve, if you try to trade for Andre Drummond, like, you're giving up a piece. Like one of those Norm, OG, or Pascal, like probably not Pascal, but OG or Norm or Lowry, someone is going. Boucher, like, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, if I was Messiah right now, you guys are right. But I wouldn't be looking into a big man. I would probably try to look into a wing. Because OG and Power are great, but they're not great difference makers right now. And I heard the Heat are interested in Kyle Lowry as well. And I think maybe from there, you could try to find a few pieces. Maybe you can pick up with Tyler Herro. I don't think the Heat are going to drop that, but you could try to take a swing.
Yeah, and me being a Clippers fan, I would love, I've already said this, I'd love to see Kyle Lowry play for the Clippers. Again, I don't really know what the trade would be. I think Luke Kennard would be a piece that's going back. He's a young shooting guard, shoots great from beyond the arc. I think he's like 24, so he's still got some youth in him. I think that the Clippers would still need to give up more than just Luke Kennard for a package like that, but it's an interesting possibility. For the Heat, for the Clippers, for Philly. I think Philly makes the most sense where he's from. But yeah, I guess it really all comes back down to what they get back in return.
Let's go back to LaMarcus Aldridge.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should go home, man. And by home, I don't mean Chicago, the team that he was drafted by. I mean Portland.
Yeah.
And I think
I would love that.
Yeah, he's going to be a good complementary piece to Dame. And they're going to need him right now. I think Melo is doing great with the secondary scoring right now, but I think LaMarcus Aldridge will be a good post-up player in that team, in that system.
Do we have an idea on when Yusuf Nurkic is coming back?
I think he's back, no?
I'm not sure. I'll check. But I think with having a guy in LaMarcus Aldridge come in there and help the bigs out, you got a guy in Melo, obviously, there and contributing and putting up points, and then you add in a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge, then you're only benefiting your bigs, and obviously you have great guards on that team. CJ comes back, like that's a pretty nice team out in the West.
And looking at the teams that you guys mentioned, like the Celtics, or I think any other contender, I don't think he would be interesting because most of the contenders don't need a big like that. I think the Celtics you mentioned, I wouldn't want to. If I'm the Celtics, I wouldn't want in on LaMarcus Aldridge. He's a little older. The team is moving a little fast. I think just buying in on him right now is not the best idea.
Nurkic is still out. He's being reevaluated within the next week or so.
And I think they traded Hassan Whiteside to the Kings, so they don't really have a big right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess their big is Enes Kanter.
My guy.
Your favorite guy.
My Turkish
god.
Turkish god.
So then there's two other guys that we did mention. So let's go on to the next guy. We'll leave the big one for last. DeMarcus Cousins. So obviously, sorry for that. So obviously, DeMarcus Cousins was released by the Houston Rockets. He has not been the DeMarcus Cousins, obviously, that he was for the Sacramento Kings or even the New Orleans Pelicans. Do we have a hunch on where he could potentially go? Is he a guy that could fit with the Boston Celtics? You know, maybe he's a guy that could go back down to LA, whether it be for the Lakers or the Clippers. Maybe with the Raptors. Do we have maybe an idea, Chris, on where you think DeMarcus Cousins might land? Because think about it, no one would have to trade for him because he's technically a free agent.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know where he would go. It's seeing it because looking at all the squads, he's been bouncing around from like team to team to team. With the exception of like the injuries and stuff, it's kind of even been hard for, or at least watching it doesn't look like the teams that he's been on have been like good meshes for him and stuff, right? Because even what he was playing, the last time I remember watching him play, like actually seeing him, was when he was on Golden State, and even then he wasn't even that impactful.
Really, he was nice. He
was nice, but like he wasn't like crazy. But I don't know. Maybe it was just Golden State's system.
Well, we saw him last time we saw him really play was in that 2019 finals when they were playing against the Raptors.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And he probably had one of the worst moments in the finals. I think he ran into a charge at the end of the game. I think it was the first game or something. And you know what, man? I still felt like he played great. We saw glimpses of what we've seen with Boogie back in 2017 when he was in New Orleans. And I think right now, you bring up the Warriors. I think that's not a bad idea, but I have a hot take. I don't know if one of us is going to like this. I think you should go to the Hornets.
Oh.
The Hornets.
Do they have a big right now that can move, that can kind
Cody
of...
Zeller.
Would you rather have him over LaMarcus right now with the value he brings?
That'd be interesting. I mean, and you look at the Hornets, I'm a big Hornets fan this season. But they're sitting at a 6th spot right now. They're definitely contending, but they're not one of those heavy hitters. Again, I don't think adding DeMarcus will... I don't think where they are now, and I don't think adding DeMarcus will even make them that big of a contender. But I think it's all about, at this point in time for the Charlotte Hornets and their roster, it's about growth and experience. I think them getting into the playoffs is a huge marker for that organization that's been kind of a joke for the past couple of years, especially Michael Jordan being an executive. People have been ragging on this guy. Similar to Wayne Gretzky being a coach in the NHL, you're a great player, but you can't step into the executive lineup. But I think this is a huge year for them. If you acquire a guy that's free in DeMarcus Cousins and you slot him in, that definitely pushes your chances to win a round. Maybe 2, depending on what your matchups would be. But yeah, I like that. I like that acquisition.
As of right now, we don't really know where he can go. And you know what? Now that I look at it, maybe Portland is an option as well. Because him and Dame Lillard and CJ had been cool for years. And he was definitely considering that team, but he just took his chances with the Warriors in 2019.
Yeah.
And so we'll go over to Cleveland. There's 2 big guys there in Cleveland, in Kevin Love and Andre Drummond. Both potentially could get traded. Kevin Love has been out for a large majority of the year due to an injury, and Andre Drummond has been sitting. As per the Cleveland Cavaliers, they wanted to make sure that he was well rested and not injured when they went to trade him. So do you think both those guys get moved? Obviously, there was some, I don't want to call it animosity, but some anger from Kevin Love towards the organization last year. He kind of had a little bit of a meltdown on the court when he threw the ball to his teammate. But yeah, what's your thoughts on both Kevin Love and Andre Drummond? Is there a spot for either one of them in another team? I think Kevin Love, don't quote me on this, I think he is from Portland. I think that's his his hometown. I think that's where he grew up. But maybe that's a potential for them if they can't get in on LaMarcus. But Andre Drummond, I think, is the big fish this year when it comes to the trade deadline coming up on March 25th. Do we have any possible contenders for either one of those gentlemen?
Look, man, that Kevin Love contract, nobody wants. It's a $30 million contract. I think there's 2 more years left on it. You look at it, I don't think any trade's going to be happening the same way it hasn't happened for the past few years. And you look at the injury history, the guy's constantly out. And I love Kevin Love's game, but he needs somebody to complement him. And you bring up the situation he was frustrated last year. I don't think he was enjoying playing with those young guys. There was no real veteran or anybody that could play properly on the team last year. There was Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, which are good players, but there was nobody that was really running the team at the time. So if you're this multi-all-star guy who has won a championship, who has numbers under his belt, are you really going to sit around and let these 2 rookies try to run the offense and you just stand there in the paint and just wait for him to pass you the ball? I don't think so. And as much as he might want out, unless a buyout happens, I don't see that trade happening. With Drummond, I think they're waiting for a buyout right now.
Yeah, you don't think that they're going to find... I think that's the problem, too, that organizations get involved with is once a player expresses, or once they express, even worse, that they don't want the player anymore or that they're kind of going separate ways, then what's the point if you're an opposing team to make a trade? You're potentially buying the player out anyways. That was the same deal. I think the San Antonio Spurs are kind of going through that right now. However, kind of San Antonio and Miami are very similar in the same way that they kind of stick to their ways and no, we're not going to buy you out. We're going to trade you. Think about the Kawhi example. But certain teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, they may be forced to just buy him out because no team is going to trade for him anyways because they know that that's what you're going to end up going towards. I would say, we did say before, Andre Drummond going to the Nets would be super scary. I think now with Blake Griffin there, I don't really think that that's a possibility that's going to happen. I would still maybe keep an eye on the Boston Celtics, though.
Yeah, I remember you bringing up the Celtics a while back, and we thought that would be a scary lineup. But at the same time, I think the Celtics are doing fine right now. Maybe an addition of a big would help out, but a lot of these teams you see out in the middle of the season, they try to add something. Sometimes it doesn't help as well as they think. So maybe they just write it out and see what happens. And, man, I don't know. I really don't know if Drummond going to the Nets would help him out either. Because they're still, going to have to run the offense. And if he's a weak link, of course, it's better than before. But I don't know if all those guys can work out at the same time.
Yeah, we don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, you know?
Exactly.
So would you guys say Andre Drummond is overrated or underrated?
I don't know. I would pose a question back to you. How would you consider, or how would you answer that question about Ben Wallace? Because I think Andre Drummond and Ben Wallace are very similar in the sense that they're very defensively sound players, and that's what they do really well. I think Andre Drummond has a bit more of an offensive upside. It's easy to underappreciate the defensive aspects of the game because you're always watching points and statistics in the offensive side, but that's how I value the whole game in general. I think Andre Drummond is I don't know, a top 5 center. I'd have to actually write them down, but maybe he's a top 5, top 7 center in the league right now. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's kind of, similar to maybe Blake was in Detroit, in a kind of a situation where he wasn't getting a lot of notoriety. Even in Detroit, Andre Drummond was still kind of known as being an elite center in the league with his braces.
I forgot he had braces at 22. Which is, it is what it is. You get your teeth fixed, then you get the bag.
Bro, it's always so weird. To go off topic, I had a science teacher, and Mrs. Summers was her name in high school, and she was she was 50, 60 years old, and she had braces, and I always thought it was the weirdest thing. And they weren't clear braces, they were the colored braces. I'm bro, what are you doing?
She got the bag.
What's the point in getting braces now?
She got the pension.
Yeah, she got that bag and fixed her teeth.
Get the bag and fix the teeth.
Exactly. That pension's really good. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Drummond, as much as we can talk about his rebounds and the defensive numbers, the one thing I dislike about Drummond, with his contract and the roles he's had in the teams he's played with, he's the one guy you throw him the ball in the paint and he can't do anything. I think
he's gotten more money than what he deserves, but go ahead.
I think he's very similar to DeAndre Jordan.
Okay.
Very similar. When he wasn't in the All-Star game, everybody was losing their mind, but this guy is still not that guy on offense. And of course, you can have these role players on offense that can just catch the ball or get the rebound, put it up. But at the end of the day, if you're having a difficult time to create your own shot and you're the man in Detroit or you're the man in Cleveland, that's difficult. That's a tough pill to swallow. Mm-hmm. Look at this guy, get the ball in the paint and not know what to do.
Yeah, and I think today's game is a guard league, maybe a wing league, but I think it's predominantly a guard league. You like to see the flashy aspects of a point guard or a shooting guard. Think about Kyrie. Kyrie is an elite point guard, an elite guard in the league, and a lot of it has to do with how flashy and how crafty he is with the ball. Steph Curry, greatest shooter, but you give the ball to a guy like Andre Drummond, you give the ball to a guy like Rudy Gobert, they have great impact, but they're not exciting. Even AD, again, a great big, one of the greatest bigs in the league, but he's not really doing anything overly exciting. You know what I mean? When you want to see an exciting highlight reel, you're looking at a guard, you're looking at a wing player.
I think we got to just take out the exciting part because AD can create a shot.
Yes, yeah.
I think just to clarify, I think AD can clear a shot, can make a shot or find a shot, but I don't think Gobert or Drummond can do that. The exciting factor, I get that. Yeah, they're not probably as exciting as you can imagine, but we got to make sure we get this across because there's so many centers right now. You say Drummond is top 5, but I think of Embiid, I think of Jokic, I think of maybe AD, I think of Bam. These are guys that can create a shot and somewhat are exciting when you look at Jokic and Embiid.
Yeah, okay.
But I look at Drummond and Gobert in the same sentence. Gobert, of course, has his impact very greatly off the ball and being able to kind of be off-ball offensively, but they cannot create their own shot.
And that's the thing too, that all these bigs that you're talking about, like an Embiid, like a Jokic, how do they play? They play similar to a guard. Yep. You think about AD. Yep. I know when he was in high school, I'm pretty sure he was playing point guard. Yep. You know, like
like a 6-inch.
That's where they expert. Yeah, they develop these skills, these point guard skills, which allow them to create their shots and be a bit more versatile, which allow them to be a greater center and more of a two-way. And those Andre Drummonds and Rudy Goberts, they just never had that. They don't have that skill set, which just makes them not exciting. It's the old meme. It's the poking a dead body or whatever. Oh, do something,
it's
move, do something. Yeah, The Rock. Yeah,
dead body.
Not a dead body. That's too sadistic. Sorry, boys. Sorry. Yeah.
Like I knew exactly what you were trying to say.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
At first, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna say poking the bear," and it's just like, "No, he's poking a dead body."
Dead body. Yeah, watching too many Criminal Minds episodes.
You want to see a dead body?
So before we get
see a dead body, follow C and I out to a basketball court this summer.
Chris, your confidence being that low will cost you, man. You're not gonna get killed, and I'm just gonna score points on you. It's okay.
It's not a matter of low confidence. Just know when I step up onto the court, I'm just gonna be stepping on the court as that guy. That's the confidence.
As the under Drummond guy, the guy gets a rebound, maybe puts it up. I got you, bro.
I think maybe what we should do. I think maybe what we should do is in the summer, we'll do a live podcast in the blacktop, and I'll sit on the sidelines and I will kind of broadcast the game, and I'll get you guys. I'll get you guys for some in-game commentary.
Bro, I've never seen Tobias on the ball court. I don't know why we're doing this.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm just here to stir the pot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what we're doing, man. All this opinions on basketball. I've never seen you just shoot a jump shot. What's going on, man?
Don't worry about it. Brian Windhorse has definitely never been on a basketball court either.
Fair enough. I'll take it. This guy compared himself to the fattest guy on the media.
Woj. Do you think Woj has ever been on a basketball court?
Yes. I mean,
really?
I bet you, bro.
You think?
I think most of these guys probably played.
No, not Woj. I know Stephen A did.
Stephen A did. I think Max.
Kellerman? I don't think so.
I think Max has played.
I'm comparing myself to all the white guys, but
yeah. Let's think about it. No, I mean, bro, it doesn't have to be playing, but it's like I'm sure they've shot it. I'm sure everybody's seen him shoot a jumper. We've never seen it. Tobias Parker.
See, I'm a passer, bro. That's the thing.
Right,
fucking. Right. Who is my comparable? I don't shoot.
Jason Williams.
You always call it. Don't you always call yourself fucking John Stockton?
No, I never said that.
No, white chocolate.
I thought you did.
Jason Williams. I think that's a fair comparison.
I'll take that.
Don't disrespect Jason Williams.
Okay, my bad.
Call him white chocolate. That's too much. I've seen Tobias play. He ain't that good.
Kirk Heinrich.
I'll take that.
Kirk Heinrich.
I'll take Kirk. Okay. With the goggles, give me that.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's a fair comparison.
Mike Bibby.
Yeah.
Mike Bibby.
I'll take a current Mike Bibby.
He's a good passer. He's not a flashy passer. You know, he sticks to the fundamentals. A good, solid chest pass.
Bounce pass.
Bounce pass.
No, we'll you guys will come to London this summer and we'll find a court. Even grounds. It'll all be even.
Even grounds. All right, perfect.
Yeah, I'll get Tarek out there. Okay, so before we get into Tobe's picks of the week, big shout out. I'm 6 for 6. Well, you got something, Steve Ash?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up. I thought you guys. I'm not sure if I sent this to you guys, but I was gonna talk to you guys about a topic that's happening on Twitter right now.
Okay.
Who would you rather have between John Morant and Lamelo Ball? I didn't know you guys didn't know about this topic, but I guess I'm just throwing it at your laps
I didn't even know. That's hard. That's tough.
It's a very hot topic right now. And
I'm a big jaw guy. And
I know Tobe's a big Lamelo guy, so
I know.
I didn't even intend for this to be between you guys, but now I kind of want to leave it for you guys to debate, and then maybe I can throw my input at it.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like LaMelo. There's a couple reasons that I like LaMelo. First of all, you can't teach height. And then this man is 6'7", and he plays the point. He's a great shooter. He's only getting better as a shooter. He has and I'm not saying anything that Ja doesn't have. I'm just kind of pointing at the strengths that LaMelo has. He's got insane vision when it comes to passing. I love watching highlights on this kid. The classic no-look pass, passing it over this way. He's just so smart when it comes to the basketball IQ. His first thought is to rebound. He did an interview after a post game, and I think he had I think he had a double with rebounds. And they're like, "Oh, you're a guard. Traditionally guards don't really get a lot of rebounds, but you had over 10 tonight. What do you credit that to?" And he said, I played a lot of 21 growing up against my brothers, so I had to get in there and get the rebounds. I remember watching a game, and he's in the paint, and I know a lot of positions nowadays are fluid, but I just liked seeing him in there grabbing the offensive boards, and then not to mention he's a good scorer. I think he's a really good teammate. A lot of people have said in the European teams that he's just a guy that you want to play for, similar to Lonzo. Lonzo Ball is a very kind of team-oriented guy. Taking age out of it, I know they're only a couple years apart. I like LaMelo Ball because of height, because he can really do everything, and he's great at stealing the ball as well.
Gosh, I don't even know. Because I agree with you. When I look at LaMelo Ball, I see all of those things, and I like all of those things that you just mentioned about him. And not to say that Ja lacks lacks any of those, because Ja is also a very good shooter too.
He's ferocious. That's the one thing I like about Ja.
That's what I was gonna say too. That's the one thing I like about Ja. He's a fighter. He's gonna tooth and nail for your team.
You're that Russell Westbrook mentality.
Yeah, he seemed I think I said this before to some of my boys. But I was when I'm watching Ja, it's I don't want to say I get a more controlled version of Westbrook that I'm seeing, but it's I just like what I'm seeing, because I like the player that Westbrook is, and Westbrook's a very aggressive player, and Ja is also a very aggressive player, but it's that controlled aggression, and he's not doing anything that's overly wild, or he might be trying to dunk over some centers every now and again, but it's but so it's the question, who would I rather take to lead a team, or is it I can only have one of them and I'm just putting them on the team?
I think it's you're building a team.
You're building a team.
I wouldn't say building a team. I would just say, who would you rather have right now? Who would you rather be okay, I'm going to pick this guy on my team right now. Building, I think you start looking at potential and other things, but just talk about right now.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Just right now? I think if it's right now, I'd probably take LaMelo. But I think if I'm building a team, I would take Ja. Because I think I like what I potentially see more down the line with Ja. And I think Ja will turn into a better floor general long term.
Okay.
I came into this thinking Chris was going to go all out for Ja, but I guess I got to do that. Man, listen, Ja has proven himself more. That's the difference maker.
But hey, you cannot make that argument. He's literally been in the league longer than LaMelo. You can't make that argument.
And that's what my argument is for if we were picking him long term, and I'm looking to the future, I would rather have Ja on my team again, because you were just saying, he's proven he's able to do that stuff.
This is why I will use that argument, because Ja has had to be the leader, and he's had to be the guy to close out the games.
Mm-hmm.
LaMelo, I'm gonna say, you know what? Because of the way his team is set up, he hasn't had that chance. I'm not gonna say he has ran from it. I'm not gonna say he doesn't want that moment. But every time the game has gone down with Hornets this past season, and maybe I think one moment I can remember off the top that LaMelo did close out, but the rest of the time it's been Terry Rozier.
Fair enough.
Scary Terry, I love that guy. He's been closing out for that team, and he's one of those guys. Maybe we'll talk about this another time. He's been one of those guys that every time I see him with the ball at the end of the game, I'm scared. I'm like, he's gonna make
Yeah.
that shot. I've legit seen him steal the ball at the end of the game and go all the way. I've seen him just grab the ball from half court and just shoot it, and it's gone in at the end of the game. He's that dude. But just off that idea of John Morant being able to lead that team and being the guy, having that pressure on his back, being able to kind of control the pace to that extent at the end of the games, I think he's proven himself more. But if you look at everything else, I feel like they're pretty equal.
Yeah. I mean, you're not. It's not like you're slighted if you take one over the other.
Yeah.
We talk about Ja and the never say die kind of mentality. There was a game that the Hornets were playing against Philly, I think like a month or so ago, and they were down by like 7. I think it was Joel Embiid that was coming down the court. He was on the far right side, and they're just kind of letting the clock run out. And LaMelo comes from behind and steals the ball, goes down, hits a 3. I think they ended up only losing by like 5. They still lost the game, but it was that like, no, the game's not done. Like we still have a chance to score. We still have a chance to win. And LaMelo was like, I'm going after this. I'm going to try to win. Because typically, if you're down by 7 or something like that, and the game's over and the clock's just running out, players are just going to stand there and wait for the
regular
game,
season game.
Gap everyone up. But LaMelo's like, no, like we're playing. Like let's go. We're going to win here. So I like that.
But I mean, it's like how much time was like left on the clock though? Like, was it like
6 minutes? No, I'm joking.
I think there's like 30. I think there's like 30 seconds or something like that.
See, so you know what? I would say If it would have been like 10 seconds, I'd have been like, all right, maybe LaMelo, you're doing too much. But like 30 seconds, maybe you could have rallied something back. So like good on him for like trying to keep like the team in it and stuff like that, doing whatever he's got to do.
He was having flashbacks to LeBron and the Heat and the Spurs, down by 5 and 30 seconds left. He was like, no, I'm that dude. Let's do this.
Like, I can do this.
We can come back, guys. We got this.
Yeah.
Every game counts.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a good little kind of debate. Again, like you said, you thought that Chris was going to come in here and speak praises about Ja, but again, I don't think there's a bad player that you can take.
Like I said, it's like the difference between choosing them like is so small, and it's like,
and there's benefits on either side.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
Pros to Ja, there's pros to LaMelo.
And only because you're asking like, who do I want right now in this moment? Then I would be like, okay, like LaMelo. That's it. That's literally it. But again,
and that's why it's a difficult debate, right? Like everybody on Twitter is losing their mind on this because you can be kind of like a prisoner in the moment, just looking at what LaMelo has done the past few months and his numbers as a starter.
Sure.
But you can also just kind of try to value them in different ways. Yeah, I think it's a good debate. It's not like a clear pick on each side. That's why it's a good debate to me.
That little murky water.
Yeah.
Before we get into Tobe's picks of the week, I want to just kind of take a quick look at the standings. I know probably it was just last podcast we were looking, or maybe the one before, the Hawks weren't doing too well. They were outside the play-in tournament. Right now they sit at 8. The Knicks sit at 7. Hornets at 6. Celtics 5. Miami, who started the season off pretty cold, they've jumped right up. Are 4th in the conference. Bucks at 3, Nets at 2, and the 76ers at number 1. Just outside of the Pacers, the Bulls, and the Raptors, with the Magic being the second worst team in the East. I know they were kind of around the 6th spot at the start. Crazy to see how tight everything has been this year. I love it. I like the competition a lot more. What are your thoughts on the kind of ever-changing flows, and now Atlanta, kind of making their way into the top 8?
Do you think with this play-in tournament that teams are being like, you know what, there's not as much pressure to get like that 8th, that 7th seed, stuff like that, because it's like, you know what, even if we don't make it, because like who's playing in that tournament? Is it from like
7 to 10?
7 to 10, yeah, right. So if you're in that 7 to 10 spot and you maintain that 7 to 10 spot, it's like you could still potentially say, you know what, we'll give it our all during this tournament and potentially get like a spot. So do you think like this tournament is maybe hindering some teams from playing to the best of their abilities, or they're maybe like taking it a little easier than they normally would if this tournament wasn't around?
I think if you're the 7th seed, I think you'd be kind of stupid and I mean, it's likely to not try to go for the 6th or the 5th seed.
Yeah,
Why would you try to have that extra game and everything? Like, if it's the end of the season, the top 6 seeds have been locked, and you just look at, okay, I'm the 7th seed. If I lose 2 games, I'm going to be the 9th seed. It doesn't really matter because of the play-in. Maybe, yeah. But as of right now, man, I think if you're the 10th seed like the Bulls are right now, I think you should try to push as hard as you can just to not play that, because you have to play that play-in, and then you have to go play playoffs. So it's just an extra game, right?
I'll tell you, I think the Bulls are, well, both the Bulls and the Pacers who are in that slot right now, I think they have a really good chance. If you were to stop right now the season and you have the Knicks, the Hawks, the Pacers, and the Bulls fighting for those last 2 seeds in the play-in tournament, I would be scared. You know, obviously the Knicks have done well this year, but I would be scared of the Bulls and the Pacers. I think the Bulls are a very, very strange team, a very wild card type of team where they can come out and they can win and they can put you on your ass one night, but then they can also look like they're kind of lost out there. I think they have pieces that really kind of show up every single game. Obviously, I'm talking about Zach LaVine, and same with the Pacers. Pacers just got Karis LeVert back. He played his first game this past weekend, and then obviously you got a guy in Brogdon, Sabonis, and Turner as well at the 5. So I think those 2 teams, if they get in on the play-in tournament, I'd be scared if I was those other 2 teams, 100%.
I also wanted to talk about a stat from last night when the Bulls won against the Raptors. Out of the 11 guys that played, 9 of them scored over 10 points. And it was really interesting. And the other 2 guys scored 0. But just looking at how the team has been just playing as a team and just being able to move the ball and everybody getting a chance to score, it was interesting.
For sure. Okay, let's take a look at the West standings right now. At 8, we have the Dallas Mavericks. At 7, we have the San Antonio Spurs. Number 6 is the Portland Trailblazers. 5 is the Denver Nuggets. 4, the Clippers. 3, Lakers. 2, Phoenix Suns. And, of course, number 1, the ever-boring Utah Jazz. Then you got, just on the outside of that, is the Warriors, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans just kind of peeking in at a play-in tournament seed. So what are our thoughts about the standings there? The Mavericks, I know, Sivash, they're still kind of borderline here. They're not guaranteed a spot yet. Your take was that they weren't going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, after this, I think it was during the second game of the season when they were down by 40 to a team. I just looked at them and I said, I messaged you guys. I'm like, bro, I don't know if they're going to make it. And at the time, they didn't have Kristaps Porzingis. And my biggest thing was Josh Richardson. I think his addition was kind of shaky at the start. I think he had a great game last game, but at the start, they looked like they were missing Seth Curry. And even right now, man, I still, I will go back on my take, but even right now, they're 20-17 on the 8th seed, and they're right there.
They're not guaranteed anything. Right? So you look at that play-in tournament, we'll do the same thing that we just did with the East. The play-in tournament, if you stop the league right now, you got the San Antonio Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors, and the Memphis Grizzlies. Who do you guys like to claim those last 2 spots in the Western Conference? I think we got to think about the San Antonio Spurs moving forward. I think LaMarcus Aldridge will be kind of a loss for them. It'll be interesting to see what they do with DeMar DeRozan. I think DeMar DeRozan's contract is up at the end of this year. Does he get moved? Do they stick with him? Does he sign an extension? They're in a really weird spot because they are a team that's in the running, but they're not a team that can really do anything, and they have a lot of pieces that could potentially be moved. You would think the Dallas Mavericks are a team that is one of those elite teams in the West, and then obviously you have the veteran Golden State Warriors and a young team in the Memphis Grizzlies.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want the Memphis Grizzlies in there right now. I'm looking at the 10th and 11th seed. I want the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's get the Pelicans in the playoffs. Let's get them in that play.
You know what I think it is, Chris? You know what I think it is? I think he's like, if Kobe White can't be in the playoffs, then Ja Morant doesn't be in the playoffs.
They're both in the same position on each conference, so I wouldn't say that. And Dude, I would love to see John in there, but I also want to see Zion be in that playoff race. Similar to last year. We wanted to see Zion and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball and all those guys go crazy, try to get into that playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you see them, I would do that matchup between the Pelicans and the Jazz would be interesting to me. Because every time they run up against each other, the game goes down to the wire, and you see how Brandon Ingram always takes a Rudy Gobert. Sometimes he's made the shot, so other times he's fouled. I would love to see that matchup.
Can you imagine the Pelicans versus the Jazz round 1 and the Pelicans move on?
Oh, bro, that would be an L. The Jazz would take the fattest L of the decade for that.
That would be
go crazy.
I don't know.
Season, get the hype, go crazy, and then this team that sneaks into the playoffs. After this play-in tournament that's just going to choose this year with these young guys that have been asked if they can figure it out this year. And then get
that'd be crazy.
beat by that team. I would love to see that.
That would be crazy.
I would love that.
So you said you'd like to see the Pelicans and not the Grizzlies in. Do you have one other pick in that?
It's difficult, but I want to see the Warriors or the Mavs. Either one would be fine. The Warriors, of course, you want to see Steph in the playoffs, or the Mavs. Same thing with Luka.
I think Clay will be back as well at that time too. I think that's his potential. He wants to be back. To be interesting. He was quoted as saying that he's gonna come back to all NBA form whenever he comes back. So, that could just be talk, but it'd be nice to see them bring Clay back, have Steph there. You got a young James Wiseman.
So then question then for you then, Tobias, if the Warriors did make that push and made a playoff spot, would that change your stance on your Dame or Steph? Right now.
Yeah, actually, I to be honest with you, I think it would.
I feel like at that point, it's like Steph put the team on his back and got them that playoff spot.
No, 100%. Like I think, I'll tell you one thing. I think
tell me two.
If he's not already, thanks for joining us. That's the first thing. If he's not already, I think if the Warriors make the playoffs, Steph should be in contention for MVP. I think he should be in a top 5 talk for MVP. Just because of what you said, putting the team on his back. I don't really think a lot of people had expectations on the Warriors being in the playoffs. I think to be able to lead your team, especially and it's not like, we're talking about the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. It's not like the Warriors are the 11th or 12th seed. Like they are the 9th seed right now. So it's very likely that they can make a push to have that staple spot. I think the San Antonio Spurs are going to move down. I don't know if they get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge. Obviously, he's not playing for them right now, but if they maybe get rid of another piece, I don't think that they claim one of those playoff spots, to be honest with you. So I think it's looking more and more likely that Golden State can push for a top spot, like in the play-in tournament. Yeah.
You guys want to do a recap on our MVP rankings? I'll go first.
Sure.
I'm looking at the MVP ranking right now. I think Joel Embiid's still first.
So, yeah, I do know that,
Even though he's out.
Yeah, people are saying that it might hurt the MVP voting for him because he's out.
I mean, that will depend on probably how many games he's going to be out. Because even if you remember last year, Giannis missed a few games right before the bubble.
Sure.
And he was able to come back because of the bubble. If he didn't, I can tell you right now, LeBron would have won that MVP.
Mm-hmm.
But Joel Embiid, I think he's still probably number 1 for me. I think Jokic is number 2 and Braun is just sneaking at number 3. But I want to see what Braun's going to do in these next 2 weeks when Embiid's trying to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he will step it up. Maybe he's just still trying to slow it down to see where he can get. I'll tell you, my honorable mention at 4th right now is Kawhi Leonard.
Really?
Dude,
Okay.
I watched that Clippers and Warriors game. I think it was on Wednesday. My God, man. That guy is crazy. He was just shooting shots. I looked at it and I was like, no way. He's not making that.
And this is where I don't think I actually like it, so it's definitely not a bad thing. I think people aren't paying attention to the Clippers, which I think is nice. They're sitting at a 4 spot. It's not like they're sitting and dominating. I think a lot of focus is on, the Utah Jazz, and wow, the Phoenix Suns are doing great. And obviously the Lakers are the Lakers. They're going to get their notoriety. The New York Knicks, the San Antonio Spurs. And the Clippers can just go out there, play their basketball, they're kind of grit and grind offense with the focus on defense. And it's really allowing them to kind of just focus and hone in and just perform how they should have been playing in the bubble. But yeah, that's cool to hear that you think that, because I think Kawhi is definitely one of those top tier guys that can win an MVP, but he's never won one. You're looking. You said you're looking at the rankings right now.
Me?
Yeah, you said you're looking at the MVP rankings.
No, I was just saying for me personally, that was my rankings. I could bring it up and you guys can kind of give your thoughts on it if you were to look at it right now. I think, you know what, man? I think Dame his numbers have changed a little bit since the All-Star break. And you look at the way his team's performing, they're still kind of hovering around that 5 and 6 seed. And I think if they can sneak into that top 4, he should have definitely, his name should be mentioned right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think giving a nod to Jokic is respectable too. They were down probably at the 8th or 7th seed a couple of weeks ago. They're kind of climbing their way back up, showing that they are an elite team in that Western Conference. So I think Jokic does deserve a look, even though he's a fucking milk bag and all that stuff. But
so yeah. I have the rankings up right now. This is as of March 5th. Embiid at 1, averaging 30, 11, and 1.4 blocks, which is, I would say, solid numbers. Jokic at number 2, he's averaging 27, 11, and 9. Almost a triple-double right there. Braun at number 3, he's averaging 25, 8, and 8. Sorry, 9.
Totally thought you said 45. Wow, that threw me off for a second.
26 actually, 25.8. And at number 4, they got Dame. Averaging 29.8 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. And number 5, they got Luka, 28.6, 8.4 rebounds, 9 assists. Their next 5 is Steph Curry at 6, Giannis at 7, Harden at 8, Kawhi at 9, and Donovan Mitchell at 10.
Yeah, I think Harden is a name I've heard quite a bit on the NBA analysts page. I also heard, and I don't agree with this, but I think they're just talking about the impact that this player has had on the team and where the team currently sits. I've also heard some nods to Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns, just being able to change that kind of, I don't want to say change the culture, but kind of push that team into being a top tier team in a tough Western Conference. But like I said, I think Steph should be up there if he gets into a playoff spot. I still have my guy Dame in there, and then Joel Embiid, I don't think you can knock him off right now.
Another name I heard these past few games is Jimmy. With the performance he's put up in these past few games, his name is coming up. And everybody's asking if he should be MVP because his team was the 13th seed at some point, and now they're the 4th seed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I don't know. This year, I would say maybe definitely their past years, 100%. Give like the nod to Jimmy. But yeah, Jimmy's always gone out there, done what he needs to do, get shit done. So like it is surprising that he isn't talked about a little bit more for like the MVP and things like that. But just those players that like you listed off currently, it's just like like I don't see Jimmy like outperforming like any of them really. Right now at least. So
yeah, it's been a lot of like I think there's been this year it's been a lot more ups and downs for each team. You've seen a lot of teams go from the bottom of the barrel to now kind of making a playoff spot.
Started from the bottom of it there.
Exactly. You've seen teams that you didn't think would be, leading the top of the league, like, the Jazz and Philly. I know Philly is still an elite team, but, at the start of the season, I don't think you would have said that they would have held the number 1 spot in their respective conferences for as long as they have. You might have said, okay, yeah, maybe I can see the Jazz holding it for the first week or something, but to consistently be kind of holding it for the past couple weeks, is surprising, to say the least, to be honest with you. And then seeing all the teams kind of change, moving up and down throughout the year has been exciting, to be honest with you. I like this season because it's showing that a lot of teams are a lot more comparable and closer to their competition.
Just to close it off, I'm going to ask you a question. If Jimmy takes the Heat to the number 1 seed in the East, would you say he deserves to be MVP? Going from the 13th seed to the number 1 seed.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But if he does, it's a hypothetical.
If he does,
would that be a good case for MVP? Going from the 13th seed to the number 1 seed and averaging 28 points. And he was injured at the start. Just to forget that, like, he was injured at the start. That was a big reason why they weren't doing that.
Why they weren't doing so well.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, because I say if any player did that, it's like, you know, you deserve to be your hat at least tossed into.
At least the top 3. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see that happening though. I don't think Jimmy could do that.
Like, they're at 4 right now. I could see them getting a top 3 seed. I really don't see them surpassing the Nets of the 76ers. Like, again, you're only 7 wins away from the top, but I don't know.
And that's the thing; it's a possibility, right? And to me, I think if that happens, his name should be up there. But at the same time, you look at his, just his reputation. Even until last year, a lot of people didn't even look at him as a top guy, and they had all these questions about his chemistry issues. But that whole finals run definitely changed
Fair enough.
His reputation in the league. Yeah. All right, Tobe, hit us with the picks.
All right, yeah. So 6 for 6 so far. I don't know if I'm gonna continue the streak. I know last week I was getting some flack for maybe not picking with my chest and not picking some, more even comparable ones. So I did include one of your teams this week, and we'll start with that one. So Wednesday the 17th, the Spurs are playing against the Bulls. I think that the Bulls are going to get the dub in this game with no LaMarcus Aldridge. I think the Bulls will be able to eat there. Like I mentioned before, the Bulls are one of those really weird teams where they can go out there and they can put you on your ass and beat you by 30, or they can go out there and kind of be wandering around where like they don't know what they're doing. But I think Zach LaVine coming back from the All-Star trip and them just kind of pushing to try to get that guaranteed spot. Like we said, they're at the 10th seed right now, so pushing to kind of maybe separate themselves from the Raptors. I think they'll be out there and hungry. Friday the 19th, the Pacers are playing the Heat. I'm going to rock with the Indiana Pacers. I know we were just speaking about the Miami Heat. Yeah. Just watching Karis LeVert coming back from obviously his surgery and having a dominant power forward center in Sabonis, a guy in Brogdon. I think that's going to be a huge piece for them moving forward. I think similar to the Chicago Bulls, they're looking to push to kind of claim their spot in the Eastern Conference. I think they are a team that don't need to play in the play-in tournament. They're definitely a team that can kind of hold it down. And on Sunday the 21st, we have the 76ers playing the Knicks, and I'm taking the Knicks with no Joel Embiid. I think the Knicks will be able to play well, having a guy in Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson running the paint there. I'm going to rock with the Knicks. So, Steve Ash, I know you kind of cocked your head a bit there on the Pacers Heat pick. Want to give us your thoughts on that?
I was going to ask, is TJ Warren playing? Is he going to be shutting down Jimmy Butler? What's going on?
For those that don't know, on my YouTube channel in the summer when I did my NBA playoff predictions, I had my feature co-host, Mr. Chris Panett, and Chris had this hot take, this outlandish take, as Steve Ash would claim.
Wasn't even outlandish.
All right. I told you guys the day he said it that's an outlandish take.
All right, I went off script. Tobias, basically what happened is Tobias was like, "Come in here, read the script, do this, and we're gonna get views." And I'm like, "No, all right, I'm going off the rails. I'm doing this my way." And I just went with a little bit of a different pick at the time. And these guys, you know what? Much like I won't let Steve Ash forget that Kobe White did not win Rookie of the Year, they're not going to let me forget about this. So
you gotta stick to your picks. You gotta keep that same energy.
Yep.
So he said at the time they brought up the playoff matchups, and they said, okay, the Heat and the Pacers, and Tobias said the right pick. He said the right logical pick. And he said the Heat are going to take that serious, but Chris took a moment and said, you know what, man? TJ Warren, he's been playing well in the bubble. And he took the
He was,
Pacers.
though. He was.
He was, but
Man.
Jimmy shut him down, as I predicted. And
Y'all
they
got my
swept him.
FBI agent like, my FBI agent is sick of hearing this.
But yeah, that game, I would definitely take the heat on that. I think he just took the Pacers, and there was also another game I just saw. I think it was Wednesday, the Bucks and the 76ers.
I'd probably rock with the Bucks. I mean, I think I think losing your MVP candidate, Joel Embiid, I think is going to be a big loss for them. I know Tobias Harris has actually been playing pretty well. It must be in the name, but I don't think having a guy like who is going to defend Giannis. I guess Ben Simmons. He's been playing really well. He's a top defensive player of the year candidate right now, but. I don't know, man. I'm really interested to see how Philly plays without Joel. I know they did win the game that he got injured in, but going from here, I'd like to see how they perform without him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So obviously the trade deadline is coming up on March 25th, which I believe is a Friday, Wednesday, something like that. It's next week or 2 weeks from now. So in the next episode of the Lob It Up podcast, it's going to be all trade deadline talks. We're going to be going through every single team or almost every single team, saying what they need, whether they should be trading, whether they should be buying, and honestly talking about what the hell is going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves, having two kind of top tier guys in Cat and D'Angelo Russell. And how they're only winning 9 games and consistently being a joke in the NBA. We'll be giving our opinions on that and just kind of an overall outlook on the second half of the season post-trade deadline. But for now, this is the Lob It Up podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Let me stop this. Well, you're lucky. I was going to throw shade right at the end.